Okay, so are you ready for this? We are diving deep today into something really interesting.
Always ready for a deep dive. Let's do it.
All right, so we're looking at a piece from FinShots. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah, I've seen their stuff. They break things down pretty well,
Yeah,
like business stuff, right?
exactly. They explain like the really complex financial stuff. And today it's all about, well, two things really. Nissan, the car company,
Yeah.
and the rise of like Chinese electric
Oh,
vehicles.
interesting. Okay. Yeah, I've heard a bit about that.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of, I don't know, put those two together and see what we get. Right.
Yeah, I like it. A little compare and contrast.
Exactly. So first of all, Nissan, right? Huge company, been around forever.
Yeah,
They were known for those like super reliable cars.
like the Datsuns, right. Those were everywhere.
Yeah. But according to FinShots, they're in like deep trouble.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, like they're suggesting they could even go bankrupt.
No way. What happened? I mean, they seem to be doing okay.
Well, the thing is the car industry is changing like super fast.
Yeah, true. That's a good point.
And Nissan, they kind of missed the boat with like hybrid vehicles.
Oh, okay. So now everyone's all about EVs.
Exactly. And
Yep.
they're like behind in the EV race, you know?
Yeah, that's got to be tough.
And you remember the Nissan Leaf, right?
The Leaf. Yeah, wasn't that like their first big EV?
Yeah, it was like one of the first all-electric cars you could actually buy.
Right.
But it had this problem.
Oh,
The battery, it had like a design flaw or something, and people had to like replace it after like only 700 kilometers.
seriously. Wow, that's terrible.
Yeah.
700 kilometers, that's nothing.
Yeah, it was a huge problem for them, like hurt their reputation a lot.
I bet. Who wants to buy an electric car if the battery dies that fast, right?
Yeah, exactly. So while they were dealing with that whole mess,
Uh,
China, well, their EV industry was just taking off,
oh, yeah.
like quietly gaining all this momentum.
Wow.
And now they're like, I don't know, dominating.
Really? Like,
Yeah.
how so?
Well, just look at the numbers. In 2023, China sold 8 million electric vehicles just domestically.
8 million. Seriously.
That's like 60% of all global EV sales.
That's insane.
And get this, they also overtook Japan as the world's like biggest car exporter.
No way. I didn't realize it was that big already.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? So like, how did they do it? What's the secret?
Well, a lot of it comes down to batteries, actually.
That batteries.
Yeah. Like companies in China, like CATL and BYD.
Okay, yeah, I think I've heard of those.
They're like the global leaders in battery production.
Yeah.
So that gives them a huge advantage.
So they're not just making cars, they're making the batteries too.
Right. Which means they can control costs and everything. It's super smart.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And, it's not just about batteries. They're also like really strategic about getting those raw materials,
Raw materials, like what?
like lithium. All the stuff you need to make those batteries. They've been securing access to those resources all over the world,
Huh, interesting.
like in Africa and Latin America. So they have a steady supply.
Huh. So it's kind of like controlling the oil fields back in the day.
Exactly. Very strategic.
And the Chinese government, I mean, they've been really supportive of this whole thing, right?
Yeah, the big time.
Like tons of subsidies for these EV companies.
Huge subsidies, yeah. We're talking billions and billions of dollars.
Wow. I mean, it's not just about being cheap, right?
No, not at all.
Chinese EVs, they're actually pretty good these days, right?
Oh, yeah, they've come a long way. Like
You
the
know?
technology, all the features they have now, really impressive stuff.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's not just about affordability anymore. They're really innovative.
So they're appealing to like a different kind of buyer, maybe?
Definitely. Like younger people who are more into tech and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, okay, they have affordable cars, government support, and they're focusing on like all the cool new techs.
Right. And they're not stopping there either.
What do you mean?
It's not just about building cars anymore. They're creating a whole ecosystem around EVs, like a whole system.
A system. Like what?
Well, think about it. They're making the cars, they're making the batteries, they're controlling the resources,
Okay, yeah.
and they're also building the infrastructure, like all the charging stations and stuff.
Oh, I see.
And they're even focusing on recycling those batteries.
Recycling.
Yeah, like a closed loop system.
Yeah.
They're trying to control every stage of the process.
So they're trying to be like completely self-sufficient.
Exactly. They want to reduce their reliance on any outside factors.
Wow. Okay. So that's a whole other level.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're way ahead of the game.
They're definitely playing the long game. It's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah.
And it's working. They're really shaking things up for traditional automakers.
Yeah, it's like a whole different playing field now, right?
Totally.
So, okay. China's EV industry is booming at home, but what about, like, globally?
Oh, they're going global, all right, big time.
Finshot's mentioned they're making a big push in Europe with brands like, what was it, BYD, NIO.
Yeah, BYD and IO,
Mhm.
MG, they're all making moves over there.
So how are they, like, tackling the European market?
Well, affordability is a big part of it. Their EVs are often cheaper than the European brands.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But it's not just about price. They're also being strategic,
Mm.
like targeting specific markets with models that appeal to, local tastes.
So they're doing their research, huh?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, for example, the MG4. It's this electric hatchback that's become pretty popular in Europe.
Oh, okay.
Shows they can compete on design and features too, not just price.
So they're not just trying to be the budget option.
Right. They want to offer a compelling alternative no matter what you're looking for.
That's interesting.
And it's not just Europe either. They're expanding everywhere.
Mm.
Southeast Asia, Latin America, Africa, even the Middle East.
Wow, so they're going for it.
Yeah, global domination is the goal.
So it's working. Like, are people actually buying these Chinese EVs?
Oh, yeah. They're selling like hotcakes.
Wow.
Like BYD actually overtook Tesla as the world's top-selling electric car maker this year.
No way.
Yeah,
Seriously.
it's crazy, right?
Tesla was like the king of EVs.
They were. But the Chinese companies are catching up fast.
That's wild.
The landscape is changing so quickly. It's really exciting to watch, actually.
So what's driving this success? I mean, is it just cheap labor and government support? Or is there something more to it?
Well, those things definitely help, but there's more to it than that.
Like what?
Their mastery of the battery supply chain, that's huge.
All right, we were talking about that before.
Exactly. China controls a big chunk of global battery production, especially through those companies we mentioned.
CATL and BYD.
Yep. And that gives them a major advantage in terms of cost and scale.
So they've basically cornered the market on the most important part of an EV.
Pretty much. They're playing it smart.
And they're not stopping there, right? Finshot's mentioned something about raw materials, too.
Oh, yeah, they're all over that.
Huh.
Securing access to lithium, nickel, cobalt, all those essential ingredients for batteries. They're investing in mining operations all around the world.
It's like they've thought of everything.
They have a plan, that's for sure.
Finshot's also mentioned battery recycling. Something about China taking the lead there, too.
Oh, yeah, they're big on that.
What's the big deal with battery recycling?
Well, it's about sustainability, right? Recycling those old batteries, recovering those valuable materials,
Okay.
reduces their reliance on mining, which can be, pretty bad for the environment.
So it's good for the planet and their bottom line.
Exactly. Win-win.
Okay, so they've got the battery situation figured out. But what about the cars themselves? Have Chinese EVs actually gotten better?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They've come a long way.
Like, are they actually good cars now?
They're not just cheap anymore. They have great features, good performance.
Huh.
Some of them are even surpassing the established brands in terms of technology and innovation. Yeah, things like longer ranges, driver assistance systems, all the latest gadgets.
Like the stuff you see in Teslas and stuff.
And more. They're really pushing the boundaries.
So it's not just about price anymore. They're competing on quality and features, too.
They are. And they're doing a pretty darn good job of it.
It's kind of amazing how quickly they've caught up.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you wonder how companies like Nissan and Honda are going to respond.
Right. They're up against some serious competition now.
They've got a fight on their hands.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, it's like David and Goliath. Right. Except this time, Goliath might actually be losing.
It's a real shakeup. For sure. But the thing is, those legacy automakers like Nissan and Honda, they're not just giving up,
Yeah, Finshot's talked about that. Like, they're actually doing some interesting things to try to stay competitive.
They're adapting. It's kind of cool to see, actually.
Yeah, well, the big news was that merger, right? Nissan and Honda.
Yeah. Big merger. Makes sense, though, when you think about it.
So, like, why would they do that? What's the advantage of merging?
Well, for one, it gives them more resources, right?
Uh-huh.
Combined forces. They can pool their money, their expertise. Basically, it's a way to get bigger, stronger.
So they can take on the Chinese companies better.
Exactly. It's like if you can't beat them, join forces, right?
Makes sense.
Plus, they can share technology, speed up the development of new EVs.
Ah, so it's about being more efficient, too.
Totally. And it's not just about mergers either.
Oh, what else are they doing?
They're also partnering with a lot of tech companies, startups,
Oh, interesting. Like, why?
Well, because those smaller companies, they're often more agile, more
Yeah.
innovative. They can move faster.
So it's like they're realizing they need help from the outside?
Sort of. It's more like they're recognizing that they don't have all the answers.
Right.
So they're bringing in expertise in things like battery technology, software, even autonomous driving systems.
So they're like learning from the best.
Exactly. It's a smart move. It helps them stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I get it. But those older companies, they've always been known for like building good, reliable cars, right?
Absolutely. Quality, dependability, that's their
So
thing.
they're not just abandoning that, right?
No, no, they're building on it. Like they're
Yeah.
applying those same principles to their EVs.
So like they're still focused on quality and safety and all that.
Totally. They're just adding in the electric element.
Makes sense. And what about hybrids? Aren't they still making those too?
Oh yeah, hybrids are huge.
Because not everyone's ready to go full electric yet, right?
Yeah, hybrids are like a stepping stone,
Yeah.
a transition
Yeah.
for people who aren't quite ready to make that jump yet.
Plus, the charging infrastructure isn't everywhere yet, right?
That's a good point. Hybrids give you that flexibility. You're not limited by range.
Okay, so they're merging, they're partnering, they're making hybrids. But, I mean, China still has such a big lead, right?
They do. It's a tough battle for sure.
Like, what do you think? Can those legacy brands actually catch up?
Honestly, it's hard to say. It's a really fast-moving industry.
Yeah.
But the competition, I think it's good for everyone, ultimately.
How so?
It pushes everyone to be better, right? To innovate more, to offer better prices.
Ah, so consumers benefit in the end.
Exactly. More choices, better technology, lower prices. It's a win-win.
So whether you're buying a Chinese EV or a hybrid from like Nissan, it's a good time to be a car buyer.
Yeah, it's an exciting time for the auto industry. Lots of changes, lots of possibilities.
And it makes you think, right? This is happening in other industries too, not just cars.
Absolutely. This whole thing, it's a bigger story,
Mhm.
about how established industries are being disrupted by these new, innovative companies.
It's like the whole world is changing right in front of us.
It is. And the key is to adapt, to stay curious, to be open to new ideas.
That's a good takeaway. So I guess the lesson is keep learning, keep exploring, and don't be afraid of change.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. It's an exciting time to be alive, that's for sure.
Totally. Well, that's it for our deep dive into the world of EVs and global competition. Thanks for joining us.